Well, hello everybody and welcome to Lunch Break Live. Real talk about obesity, food addiction recovery, and what's really eating you. On today's program, what if it isn't all about you? Sound intriguing? Alrighty, well for now, I'm going to make it all about me. So for those of you guys who are new to the program, and I do hope you guys are able to find me because, let me just say this before I launch into who I am. When you do a free program every day, that means that you can only do it on your free time, which means that the paying gig gets in the way sometimes, and that is exactly what happened today. I had to pay attention to my paying job so that I could come over here and spend my free time with you guys. So anyway, if it means anything, the show is far more rewarding and pays me dividends that far exceed the paycheck, which is not to say that could pay the rent, because it certainly can't, but I certainly feel good about myself when I do the show. So speaking of me, because it is all about me right now, right? Who the heck am I? I'm Carrie Dela Cruz, and let's see here. I am a 2007 gastric bypass post-op, currently living life in recovery from obesity and compulsive overeating as twice the woman in half the body. So now I want to turn it around a little bit and make it all about you, just for a second, all right? Because obviously this show would be all about me if there wasn't a you. So here's what I want to know. Are you guys ready? All right. This one's going to go fast, so get ready with the fingers. All right. I want to know how your weekend went. Just give me a happy face or a sad face. Go. How did your weekend go? Happy face or sad face? So this is like a really snap poll. Don't think too hard about it. I don't see the faces coming by yet because Facebook wants to leave me hanging. All right, I'm seeing thumbs up. Direction followers. Come on, you guys. Happy face, like wow face, or sad face. All right, I see a happy face in the comments. Now I'm seeing wow faces. Okay, so we have some good weekends. Lots and lots of good weekends. That's fantastic. I love it. Not seeing a lot of sad faces out there. All right, that's really, really cool. I see happy faces in the comments as well. Awesome. All right, let's see here. Next, ready? I want you guys to tell me one thing. Now think about this for a second. One thing you did this weekend that you would not have done had you not been reminded by one of last week's Lunch Break Lives, okay? So short sentences are fine. I'll jog your memory if you aren't really sure. Just share something like maybe you took a risk that you might not have taken. Maybe you said yes when you typically said no. Maybe you said no when you typically said yes. Maybe you worked on your goals and you decided that, oh, I don't know, maybe weight isn't going to be my focal point anymore. Maybe you attended your first 12-step meeting, whatever it was. Just shoot it out there real quick. You know, maybe it's I took risk. I said yes, whatever it is. So you don't have to be like really super detailed. I just want to get a sense for what's going on with you guys. So I'm going to watch as that's happening while I'm sitting here folding my papers because I didn't have time to cut them. I tell you, nothing like a live program on the fly, right? All right, you guys going to comment yet? I'm sure you're commenting in the background. It's just not showing me yet. It's keeping me dark. Okay, there we go. Said no. Marcus said no when he would have said yes. Right on. I love that, Marcus. Right on. Come on, Facebook, show me some more. I'm sure you guys are commenting because you're so responsive like that. I may have to wait until I look at it on demand to see what you guys are telling me live. All right. Okay, now, so let's see. I made it about me, and then I made it about you. Oh, now I'm going to make it about others. Okay, you ready? Oh, I saw thumbs up floating by. All right, now let's make it about others, which means you guys do need to comment when you feel like it and share, throw some symbols and stuff, because seriously, you guys, we have got to make this show more visible to everybody out there in Facebook land. And the way to do that is to be interactive and keep that activity going so that you guys look like you're engaged, all right? So that is what we're going to do. We are going to make this show about others by bringing it to others. Thank you, guys. You are awesome. I see the thumbs up. So the thumbs up are working way better than the comments, it looks like right now. So are you guys ready to get started with that long wind up? Awesome. I love it. It looks like you guys are really energized on this Monday afternoon for me, maybe Tuesday morning or whenever it is that you're watching it. Love it. All right. So what if it's not all about you? Right? I heard some people already commenting like, what do you mean? That's just not even possible. Of course it's all about me, jokingly. I could have called it, it's true, what if it's not all about me? Because that is the message that echoed over and over and over in my head this weekend. But, all right. Yes, it is going to be all about me. Surprise! I got you in. All right, because nothing got in my way more than me. Nothing got in the way. Not this weekend, okay? But in general, when I was talking about wanting to choose recovery or wanting to live in recovery from obesity and compulsive overeating, nothing got in my way more than me. And I got in my own way all the time, and it showed. Everybody could see it all over me. I was in my own way all the time, and it was all over me. So basically, and this is the thing, okay? I always felt bad about myself. I always felt less than. And basically, I thought that other people were thinking about me all the time, which is really crazy when I say it out loud, but it's true. I thought other people were thinking about me all the time, even more than they thought of themselves. I mean, are you kidding me? They're thinking of me more than they think. No, not possible. But yet, that's where I lived, okay? Which is a bit self-absorbed, right? It's pretty self-absorbed for me to think that the whole entire world is thinking about me, even if it's thinking bad stuff about me. I'm pretty sure they're not. I'm pretty sure the rest of the world is thinking about themselves just as surely as you're thinking about you. I'm sure of it. Now, I'm putting this out there front and center, okay, you guys? People fight me all the time when I use words like selfish or self-absorbed to describe obesity or food addiction. They do. They fight me all the time and say, oh, no, I am not selfish. No way. Okay, I get it. But here's what I'm thinking. The only reason we might do that is because of a little something called self-preservation. So in other words, this is my opinion, if I tell you that obesity and food addiction are selfish, and then you suffer from those diseases, okay, by extension, I'm saying you're selfish, which flies in the face of the myth that you have probably created, if you're anything like me, that says you never think of yourself and you're always taking care of others, and how terrible of me to think bad about you when you're already thinking bad about yourself. So in other words, that's just not fair. That's like me pigpiling on you when you're already feeling bad about yourself. Right? Sound familiar? It's possible. You don't have to defend your selflessness to me. It's okay. So, in order to make you guys feel better about you, I'm going to make this about you. I'm going to make the show about me. See? Because it was always about me for like years and years and years and years, 45 years at least. It was always about me. And oh yeah, I still try to make it about me. So you know what? Recovery, not about perfection, not about completely changing everything all the time, because I still have instincts. I still have impulses. I still, go to that go-to place that I'm really, really familiar with. The goal of recovery is not to react out of that place, is to be aware of it, to choose to respond differently, which could be not to respond at all. Okay? So it is a process, but I still go to that place of it's all about me. So I'm just going to begin a little bit back. Before I was treating my disease, I was one big, I use that word truthfully, one big pit of selfishness. And I disguised it as, self-doubt, self-pity, and low self-esteem with self-deprecating humor thrown in for good measure. Some things never change. But anyway, I gave myself a free pass on my misery because I felt so bad for me. I mean, who wouldn't pity me? So I gave myself a free pass to be self-absorbed because I felt so bad about myself. It's not as if I felt good about myself. It's not as if I was, quote, conceited or narcissistic, where I'd look at other people and go, yeah, see, they're just so stuck up. They only think about themselves because they just think they're all that. They just think they're so good. Two sides of the same coin, maybe. Just because I thought I wasn't all that and because I thought I was so bad and I thought I was so worthless, how does that make that any better than sitting there thinking that I'm all that and a bag of chips? I mean, how is that different? It is the same self-absorption, even if it's not very positive. That's what I think. All right. I talk a lot about our needs on the show, right? If you've joined me for any period of time, I talk about needs and how when we're not in recovery, we overfeed healthy needs with unhealthy things, unhealthy thoughts and feelings and behaviors like eating. So we maybe feed those healthy needs, unhealthy things like food, smoking, drinking, drugs, right? We do all of that stuff. We turn to all those things because we We have not learned to get our healthy needs met in healthy ways. We only know how to meet them in unhealthy ways, and that becomes our habit. We've become very, very good at it. We also get our healthy needs met in unhealthy ways, like self-destructive and selfish behavior. Anyone brave enough to acknowledge that they've been self-destructive in the non-treatment and even treatment of addiction and obesity? Anyone willing to show a thumbs up that says, yeah, hey, Leonore, I see you. You must be upstairs watching me. Anybody willing to admit that they might have been just a little bit self-destructive? And again, if Facebook is not going to let me see you, okay, there we go. I got a thumbs up on that one. One, not like a whole bunch of thumbs up, just one that says, yeah, okay. And that's fine. I know I'm not alone, but that's okay. Sometimes I had myself behave, sometimes. That's very funny that I said sometimes. I had my self-destructive behavior all over everybody. It's like they had to have emotional flak jackets because they would take on all of this emotional shrapnel from me. I had it all over everyone. It was unhealthy. Oh my gosh, this unhealthy behavior trying to meet my healthy needs because I needed them to feel bad for me so they would excuse me. It's really, really simple. And we talk about that too, don't we? I wanted them to feel bad about me so that they would excuse me and let me get away with unhealthy behavior all over them. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Now I'm like, oh, heck no, you are not going to have that all over me. But you see, that takes a certain level of healthy thinking in order to do that. All right. And I love to surround myself by unhealthy people that would meet my needs. Of course. Hello. All right. But here's the thing. In my mind, my little brain, the way that it worked, if they weighed 320 pounds like I did, they would understand how hard it was for me and how lucky they were. Ooh, that's a big word, lucky, not to be obese, which brings up a really unhealthy behavior. And this one, I like to say it's from my past, but it is still there. I still wrestle with it, face it, but before I just let it go unaddressed, unattended, untended. I mean, never even question it. I just let it run free. As far back as I can remember, I compared myself to others, and I always came up short. They were always better than me because they were thin. I'm serious, you guys. That is what my brain did with it. I know not everybody does this, but this was my sickness, okay? I decided they were better than me because they were thin, and that was the basis for all of my opinions pretty much about people. If they were thin, they were lucky, and they had no problems, and everybody liked them, and they could do anything they wanted. And I hated them for that. That is not fair. That is just not fair. Why couldn't I be thin and lucky like them? That was my conclusion. And this was a very, very well-practiced art form, and I could rattle it off like this kind of judgment and criticism and thought, this sick thought process, okay? I could rattle it off like an auctioneer or like an appraiser at a custom car show. I'm talking rattle it off, rattle it off, rattle it off, right? I could say, she's lucky, she's pretty, she's thin, she's better than me. All the guys pay attention to her. I'm not lucky, I'm not pretty, I'm not thin. The guys don't pay attention to me unless they're making fun of my butt. Lucky, skinny, bitch. No problem, successful, beautiful, rich, skinny, lucky. That's what I did. That is what my brain looked like when I am walking out at the mall, or I am at the beach, or I'm at an amusement park. That is what my brain did inside. It sounded like an auctioneer in there, an auctioneer of negativity, all right? The only thing that mattered to me was how someone looked. If I didn't know them, I'm just seeing them, right? And this is so distorted. This is, I can see that now for what it was, but it was so distorted and so far from what I believed about myself. So I thought that I was not that person. I did not acknowledge that I was doing that as in, that's a really unhealthy behavior. It was just part of who I was, but I really believed that I was open-minded, highly morally evolved. I was a deep thinker who just thought these things because I knew best. Wow. So self-preservation at its finest, come full circle, no chinks in that armor, right? Nobody's going to get in and point out to me how sick and unhealthy that thinking is, how destructive it is, how selfish it is. Nobody's going to get in and tell me that because I'm too smart for that. That's what I decided. But really, I was just selfish. I mean, that's really The bottom line, I was selfish. But I can't beat myself up about that, okay? That's not the goal of this show, to beat ourselves up for being selfish. We're all selfish. Yes, you can fight me on it. That's okay. We are all selfish. Why? Because we are the only ones in our bodies. And we are the only ones that know what we're thinking or feeling or doing all the time. I am the only one in here and seeing this and wearing this and feeling this and doing this. I'm the only one, okay? So of course it's all about me. Of course it's all about us. The whole entire world revolves around us. How could it revolve around anybody else? I'm not over there. I'm over here. I'm here and everything is going on all around me. But you see, that's a faulty conclusion, because the reality is, even though we're the only us we know, okay, the world does not revolve around us, because everyone is doing exactly what we're doing, which is pretty much thinking about themselves until they're thinking about something else. And that's what recovery is for me. It's thinking about someone else, okay? Recovery is the healthy, rational voice in my head that says, excuse me, Carrie, you do know that you're making this all about you right now, right? I mean, you got that. And you do know that in the past you would overeat about it, right? That was your go-to. You'd feel this way and then you'd go overeat about it. Okay, what if it's not all about you, Carrie? Well, I usually protest a little, because I'm not going to roll over and just give in that easily. So it's like a kid who knows they've lost, okay, but they don't want to give in too easily, because they don't want anyone to think they're a pushover. They don't want to let anyone think that they're going to be easy to beat every time, right? So I'm going to fight. I push back on me a little bit, and I'll go, but I don't understand me. Clearly, I don't understand me. I feel hurt, depressed, sad, misunderstood, wounded, abandoned, disrespected, ignored, lost, lonely, afraid. Choose the word. I've used it on me. Okay, all of those feelings, often in combination. Let's see. I'm misunderstood and wounded. I'm abandoned and disrespected. You know what? I'm depressed and ignored. Oh, I can combine them. It's crazy. And because I feel that way, I reason, if I don't question myself, I deserve that cake. I deserve something sweet. I deserve something salty. I deserve to do whatever I want to do. I deserve to take care of myself for a change. In unhealthy ways, right? I'm going to take care of me because I never do. Right. So I'm going to have that donut. That's what I'm going to do. I got to take care of me. Nobody takes care of me but me. Well, my go-to behavior when I felt the slightest bit wronged, which was all the time, by the way, was to eat before I could feel worse. In other words, it felt bad. My instinct was, go eat something. You don't want to feel worse. You don't want to shut that down right now. Go eat. And that's what I did, because I didn't want to feel worse. Except I did feel worse, but now I could feel worse about the food. I could feel worse about myself because I ate something, right? Now my focal point is, I feel bad because I ate that. I'm not going to work on the real world, what's really happening, why I might really be feeling bad. And if I really need to be feeling bad at all, I wouldn't worry about that. I would feel bad, I would eat. Now I feel bad about what I ate. It was really, really easy, okay? But recovery has taught me one thing, that I only ever felt worse when I fed my hurt. I only ever felt worse when I fed my hurt, every single time. So I reasoned in my rational recovery thought process, there must be a better response. Don't you think? If you hurt, rather than hurting yourself more, don't you think there should be a better response? Well, as it turns out, there are many other responses I can have that are not even the slightest bit about food, and they are not selfishly self-destructive either. It's amazing what I think about when I am not in a drug coma from the food. So this is how this looks for me, all right? My process usually begins with asking myself a simple question. This may be a hard question for you guys to ask, but this is what I ask myself. What is this all about? That's where I start. Carrie, what is this all about? What are you feeling? Okay, now I understand. Look, I say, what are you feeling, right? And a lot of us don't know what we're feeling, aren't familiar with feeling, are used to pushing feelings away, come from a place where you don't feel, you don't express your emotions or your feelings, you don't know. You get in trouble for expressing feelings, you're ashamed, stuff like that. I get that. Okay, it's taken me time to get to this point. Therapy. Therapy helps you to get in touch with what you are feeling instead of just judging that you shouldn't be feeling what you're feeling, or deciding that you're not feeling anything at all, or deciding that you shouldn't be feeling something. Okay, so what I do is I go, what is this all about? What are you feeling? Again, therapy really helps. All right, did not happen overnight either, and it's still a work in progress. All right, I'm just going to say therapy really paid for itself though, because I can answer this question a lot more readily now. All right, anyway, once I get myself to talk to me and actually listen, which isn't very hard as it turns out, because I do talk a lot. Maybe the listening part was a new skill. Anyway, yeah, so I talk to myself, and I often learn when I listen to what I'm saying that when I'm feeling really bad about something, if I'm hurt or if I'm wounded or if I'm feeling lonely or depressed or whatever that is, it's because I'm assuming everything's all about me. Yeah, I am. And so in other words, that like if my husband or my daughter said something to me, it was all about me, right? That because if I'd said that, that's what I would have meant. I would have meant to hurt me if I'd said that. So if they said that, they must have been saying it to hurt me because, right, I mean, that makes total sense because it's all about me. It's not about them. They couldn't possibly be saying anything about themselves. It has to be always about me. Okay, but when I determine that it's not all about me, that's when I realized that thinking it's all about me doesn't make me feel any better. But I get sick of me. I get sick of me when I'm like, I am so sick of it being about me, and I'm so sick of thinking it's about me when it's not really about me. I really do. And I go, what do I need to do to get over myself? That's really the next part. So in other words, okay, what's this all about? Well, it's all about me because I'm hurt and I'm wounded and that's what I'm feeling and I don't like it. Why is it all about you? Why do you feel that way? Well, because my husband said this. Okay, that's not all about you? Well, it feels all about me. Okay, how is about what do you need to do to get over yourself, Carrie? So that's what I do. I mean, I talk to myself like an adult. I ask another question, in other words. Okay, so what if it weren't all about me? There's a possibility I hadn't considered. What if it weren't all about me? What if it were actually all about my husband or my daughter or that person on Facebook or my boss? Other people? What if it's about somebody else who is not living in my head with me? Okay, well, if it is about them, let's just consider. Let's go with that. Let's cheese this out just a little bit. I probably don't know what it's about. See, if it's not about me, and I'm convinced that because I know me, so I know if it's about me, I know what it's about automatically. But if it's about them, I don't know what it's about. No wonder I never went down this road before and I ate. Work with me. You know what? I'm going down the road. You don't have to go down the road right now. I'm the one that should be scared. Only I'm not, because recovery gives me great peace. So let's go. Let's say, what if it were actually about anybody besides me? If I sit still and ask that question, I may actually learn something because I didn't put myself into a coma eating Girl Scout Thin Mint cookies. And I can see that they're dealing with something. What? It's possible that they're dealing with something? Like, oh, gee, I don't know. Maybe my husband misses his parents who just went home and their home is 2,000 miles away. Do you think that's possible, Carrie? Do you think that's possible that this isn't about you and that it might be about your husband who misses his parents? Or, oh, I don't know, maybe my daughter's having a fight with her best friend because she's conflicted about the choices that her friend is making. And, oh, this has nothing to do with mom. This has to do with the daughter and the friend. Or maybe my boss is worried about a client who owes a lot of money and hasn't paid. Or maybe it's none of those things. I don't know because it's none of my business. Got that? Did you hear what happened there? There are so many possibilities that have nothing to do with me. Therefore, the idea that I'm getting all worked up and wanting to eat over it is totally and completely manufactured. And that is pretty self-absorbed. And that is pretty selfish. Right? Takes a lot of energy to do that. You guys, selfishness, self-absorption, self-marination, marinating in misery. Anybody? That doesn't lead to anything good, ever, ever, ever. Because that's not self-care. That's not taking care of yourself in a good way. That's not, putting yourself, in a healthier place, in a place of respect or value. That's not what that looks like, okay? It doesn't lead to anything good because the only voice is my own. There's no other vote in this very, very short election of mine that decides I'm all about me. Okay, so I am not going to offer insight into anybody else. It doesn't make a lot of sense, you guys. Basically, I think that selfishness is a trap. I really do, because the only way out is selflessness. So selfishness is a trap. The only way out is selflessness, which is thinking about somebody else. And if you are consumed by you, it is really hard to think about anybody else. And yet, that is exactly what has to happen. I'm serious. That is what has to happen. And sometimes it has to happen over and over and over, because we get very good at going back to making it all about us, right? Sometimes this can take days. Sometimes it can take even longer. But you have to keep pushing back and pushing back and pushing back. I hurt, I'm sad, they made it about me. Stop it. Not about you. Stop it. Could be about them. Stop it. Not about you. I talk back to it. You know what? Sometimes I think I just talk back to it 3 days in a row. Not about you, Carrie. Not about you. Not about you. So you talk back to it. So there's no guarantees that you're just instantaneously going to feel miraculously wonderful, but you could. Why don't you give it a try? Because you know you don't feel miraculously good and wonderful when you eat or drink or shop or do any other unhealthy things that are self-destructive. But like I said on my wall today, we say we don't want to go there, and yet we live there. We say, I don't want to make it all about me, and then we make it all about us. Isn't that funny? Oh, no, I don't want to make it all about me, because it's already about me. Yeah, all right. We say, I don't want to eat over this, and then we keep eating over it. And we say, I don't want to be obese, and then we don't treat our obesity, because we're consumed by doubt and failure and ourselves. I get it. This conversation, it's simply complicated, all right? Because it seems so obvious, and yet it's so complex, and it's way longer than this show will permit. So if I have to leave you with a healing and hopeful thought for the day, here's what I'm going to say. When you are drowning in a pool of you, get out of the pool and do something for somebody else. Anyone else, a stranger, a friend, someone at church. Ask yourself, what you'd do if it weren't about you. What would I do if it weren't about me? Which means, what if I'm not an option here? Which leads to another thing I put on my wall. If I'm not an option in this equation right now, what would I do? What if it were only about others in a healthy way? What would I do? Well, maybe I'd sit down and write thank you notes. I don't know. Or actual cards that I could put in the mail. What do you think? Maybe I'd pray for people I actually said I'd pray for, instead of thinking about me. God help me all the time, right? Help me, help me, help me. How about help them, God? Yeah, how about think about it? I'm not saying this because it's easy, okay? I'm not. I'm not saying the feelings won't come back either, because they do. They're very good at coming back, especially when they have had a nice, warm, cozy home inside you for so long. Even while you're doing something for somebody else, you could still be conflicted. I totally get it. It's a practiced art form for us to be sick and living in ourselves and getting in our own way. So changing that well-worn path is really going to take some time. Okay? It doesn't happen overnight. But for me, each time the selfishness descends upon me, right, like a wet blanket, whether I'm snap judging people, based on how they look, or whether I'm deciding that someone else's actions are all about me, I stop and I say, Carrie, this isn't healthy, and marinating in this simply will not make you feel better. It can take time, but do not feed it, or it's gonna take longer. So that's really it, you guys. That's my little message for the day. As always, I hope that it makes some sense, and I hope that you can find a kernel of something there that you can latch on to, that you can get out of your own way long enough to say, okay, look, I am not ready to admit that I'm selfish. I'm so not willing to go there. But I can acknowledge that I'm self-consumed and self-absorbed and self-destructive, because I'm not taking care of myself. If I am going out and eating in response to how I feel, that is self-destructive. So if I am ready to admit that, then I am ready, as far as I'm concerned, to admit that I would like to choose recovery. I would like to give something else a try for a change, because doing it the way I've always done it has led to the same thing every single time. So if I try something different, maybe I'll get something different. What do you think, guys? So I'm going to leave you on that note, because Lord knows all the fires that were blazing in this office before I went live, before feeding time at the zoo, are still very much blazing. So I got to go back and handle that. But thank you guys so much for being here with me. I'm eager to hear your feedback. Tell me your thoughts about this. You know, you don't have to agree with me. It's totally okay. You just don't, because, hey, I'm not living in your head. You are. All right, guys? So thank you so much for your time. Share this with other people. And I remind you all to have courage and seek peace. Embrace joy 1 minute at a time, so that you can live your recovery. Remember, you can't stop feeding what's eating you if you don't know what's eating you. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye.